Hello! Before we start the video, I just wanted to thank you all for all the love on the first tutorial. I didn't thought it would help so many people, but I'm glad it did. And I'm really sorry. I planned to do this tutorial a little earlier, but I'm sorry. But well, I'll be focusing on the skins as promised, even though I just wanted to make something very clear that the way that I'm gonna teach on this tutorial is gonna be a little different from other tutorials of skins, since I'm not gonna be focusing on how to texture and more on how to make your model not break while doing your skin. I'll try my best to teach as much as I'm capable of, since, well, I'm not a teacher, so bear with me on this one. Let's do it! Okay, so for starters, let me give you a rundown of each part of the paint section of Blockbench, so you don't feel lost later. On the top of the model, we have a brand new set of options, like you can see. The first one being paintbrush, that if you click it again, you'll see that there's other options too. Pixel brush is the one that is the default brush that we'll be using most of the time while doing skins. Pixel Perfect brush, on the other hand, will give you a very nice line definition if you're trying to make a diagonal lines or whatever. The Smooth brush is like an airbrush from art apps like Clip Studio and Paint to Sai. I personally use it for detailing and shading, but you can test it out. Okay, so this one is tricky, but maybe you have some uses for it. Is the copy brush. Essentially, you can come here on the PNG section, you can hold Ctrl and click, and you have like a little box on the skin that if you come to where is the copy brush mode, you can change the pattern and you can just put everything that you just copied into the skin part of the PNG. And if you just want to deselect, just go to another brush, it'll work just fine. Now is the paint bucket, the eraser, and color picker. And I think they are quite self-explanatory, but just a heads up about the paint bucket. You can paint just one face if you want to, but be careful because you can definitely just paint your whole skin with the one color. So be wary of that if that's not something that you wanted to happen. Ctrl-Z helps a lot if it happens. Okay, so we have some shapes. There is only two shapes, that is the rectangle and the ellipse. They interchange, that you can, you know, have them hollow or not. You can control them and it'll look nice. The ellipse is fun to play too, even though it'll use the center point of your mouse to make the circle. It's a little iffy, so you can play around and see if it helps you. We have the color gradient tool that you can create, you know, gradients with on your model, but be very cautious that it also works like the bucket tool, where if you use it on your skin itself, it'll go all the way on your whole skin. So if you just want, I don't know, just one face of the cubes to have the gradient, you can use it directly on the skin. And now we have the selection tool, that there is some versions of it. You can play around with it if that's something that you want to do. And it helps a lot if you want to get a big chunk of a section and use maybe the bucket tool or maybe a gradient tool to make all the gradient around that place without having the problem of being on the whole skin. There's other modes too. There's the add selection that, you know, it will add to more selections and it will not move, because thing is, if you have just a new selection and you try to click on it, it'll move everything that you just selected. And I don't think I need to explain the subtract from selection, because it's just the opposite of the add one. The move layer, you can just move everything that you have selected thus far. Using the selection tool, it'll help to not happen if you move all the skin. And now we have an option that is more important, that is the mirror painting. The mirror painting has some options where you can play around if you like, affecting X or Z axis. I normally leave as X as is more helpful for me, but you can basically just mirror everything that you're doing on the other side. And just to finish up, we have the painting grid that is probably active right now. I normally turn it off so I don't see all the little pixels, and it's easier to see if you have a bigger and wider skin. Okay, now that you know all the options that is going to be useful to you, let's start with the painting process. Firstly, you can put an image as reference in your project by right-clicking on the white space and adding a new image as reference. You can put an image that is from your PC or an image that is on your clipboard, like this. Add to this project because we don't want to have this image on all the other projects, and here you go. You can resize the image as much as you like. You can just move them around if that's what you want. Just click out of the image and there it is. You can make a skin of multiple ways. You can export a skin going on the left here on the default image, right clicking and change file. It'll pop this thing here, and you can just do continue because we are not gonna use the skin, or you can make from scratch, which is what I'm gonna do. After you finish putting all the cubes where you want to be, now is the time for some coloring. Okay, so now we have our skin, we have our cubes, and now it's time to texture them. You'll see that they have like this light color, and it means that they don't have a texture by themselves. And to fix that, we can click on the folder or maybe just a cube that we want affected. And since we have 2 years, I'm gonna just hold Ctrl and select the other folder. And there's 2 ways of putting the texture in. One of them is right-clicking the cubes themselves, going to texture, and selecting the skin that we want affected. Or just drag and drop the skin on the left to the top. At least for me, is faster, but maybe you prefer the other way around. It's up to you. Okay, so you'll see that we don't have too much space to work on the texture of these ears. And to fix that, we can go to the bottom here, right click on the skin, resize texture, and this window will pop up. Since I just want to make the texture a little bit bigger, I can just click here, go here, type the number that I want, and bam, we have more space to work on. But if I want to make the texture a little bit with more pixels, I can go in the same place, resize texture, go to scale, and put the number that I want, scale on. You'll see that there's no change visually, but if we go here on the paint section, you'll see that if I pick a color, we have more pixels to paint on. Okay, brief intermission here to give you guys 2 warnings. They are really important for you to know, so please listen up. And first of all, we will start with crop and expand. Basically, when you resize your PNG, don't make the shape of the PNG to become a rectangle. Why, you may ask? Because at some point, if you want to come back to the Blockbench file of your skin to adjust or add new things without the big ass amounts of individual folders the cubes will create after you export to a CPM file, your model will stretch the PNG to fit the original format of a 1:1 ratio of vanilla skins. And depending on how the model looks, it can become unrecognizable. And about scale, I recommend that you multiply 64 by the number of the size you want. So for example, 64 by 2 will give you 128. Just so the skin doesn't give weird proportions when you hit confirm. If you freestyle, the numbers later on your texture might get stretched and it's going to be very visible to you, having the same problem of crop and expand. That's it. End of the intermission. And now to save your project, even though I think you would be saving it by now. Okay, if we hit Ctrl S, this window will pop up, and normally I would save as both, even though after you save it and give the file a name, you'll be only saving as a BB model. And after you do all the changes that you want, you can go to File, go to Export, and is the last option here. Even though is in Portuguese for me, is probably gonna be in English for you. Either way, if you do that, it'll pop up the file search and you can give the same name that you gave the first time. And that's it.
Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like it so I know you want more. And make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button to get notified when the next video comes out. If you have any questions, suggestions, or just want to say something nice to me, please make sure to comment. I'll be checking every now and again to be able to answer to you guys. My next video will be tagging animations through Blockbench, and hopefully it will not take half a year to do it. So yeah, see you next time and happy modeling! Bye bye!